All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Heck, Manny, Goose, and Joe Rakowski, Noble Earth. In this episode, we have special guest Joe Rakowski. We cover topics that range from the small business ownership, health, wellness, herbs, teas, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Lao Tzu and Confucius. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, Joe, Mr. Rakowski, thank you for having us here.
Thanks for having me.
We are here at 212 Mill Street in Bristol, PA, at his establishment, Noble Earth. All right, cool. So for those of us who do not know who you are and what you do, please explain.
Well, my name's Joe, and I own Noble Earth here on Mill Street, like you mentioned. We're a full kombucha bar, tea lounge, herb spice tea shop, tons of wellness goods. We host a lot of different events, open mic night, comedy shows, live music, meditation. I mean, pretty much anything that kind of fits in the mold of Bristol down here, we host. So, yeah, nice. A lot of work into this place for sure.
I like it. So we're here. You have this really cool vibe here. You got us some tea as we're doing the episode here. How did you come up with this? How did you come up with the concept? How did this all get started?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story. Yeah. But gist of it was, I lived in Arizona for a bit. I lived in Oakland for a while. Went to two different schools. One of them brought me to India for a number of months. I studied Ayurveda, worked with the doctors out there, and living in Cali was absolutely amazing. So that just opened up my eyes to a lot of other things. Kombucha being one of them. Unfortunately, some family events wound up bringing me back here in 2014. Very unexpected. Unfortunately, my father passed. He had cancer, and so that just kind of changed everything. Yeah. And I had custody of my nephew, and he was big into kombucha. So I said, rather than buying it all the time, we can just make our own. And then 2 gallons turned into like 80 gallons in 2 months. And it was a lot of fun. And then I already had a previous business called Ayurvegan, which is Ayurveda with the vegan aspect. And so getting to know other people in this area, different yoga teachers, different business owners, they're like, wow, like your kombucha tastes great. Yeah. Can we buy some? And it literally started like Elle from Yogasphere was like the first person offering me money for kombucha. And I always give her props on that one because she was like my first customer. And then plus the house I was living in, distant relative, she was very supportive of the situation I was in, and then brewing all this kombucha and taking over her space. She was super cool about it, and so major props to Carol Cohen on that one. She's like my mom. So so it just developed on all these things, and originally this was an idea that was going to happen in California. And then I knew eventually I'd be in Bristol, if not at least the Northeast down the line with everything I've been learning over the years, herbalism, Ayurveda, massage therapy, kinesiology, all kinds of stuff. So, and what happened was I would be at different events selling my herbs, my tinctures that I make, elixirs and stuff, and then I had the kombucha next to me, and that would sell out or just disappear in like minutes. Awesome. And I'm like, all right, well, there's the business aspect, and so that took the forefront. And although we had tried to incorporate the food aspect here for a while, this is just keeping me too busy. So we're actually going to be hosting some vegan pop-ups each month, once or twice a month at the least. So that's something we could finally bring in here because a lot of people have been asking about it. But just that's basically how the kombucha aspect took off. One of the first Fridays, I bought the building in 2016, and as we're working on it, I was kind of giving out samples for First Friday, letting people try, and I was shocked how many people knew what kombucha was. Yeah. And one thing that'll always stick out, there's a couple kids hanging around, and I was making a raw root beer at the time, root beer soda basically. And this one kid loved it, went back to his friends. About 12 of them came back, wanted to try samples. And I was like, here. And I gave a bunch of bottles. And my buddy Bobby D was next door at Sharky's. He's like, dude, do you realize what you just did? Like, those kids will never forget that. And I still remember that to this day because I remember, being a kid, you had your local pizza shop or whatever. They'd hook you up. And, I always remember those type of things. So that was pretty cool. And that just set it off for here. And, of course, all the work we did started conversations right away with everyone down here. Yeah. So, it's been a big full circle aspect.
So your introduction to all of this, just to go back a little bit, is Ayurveda?
Yeah, Ayurveda.
Can you explain that just a little bit?
So Ayurveda, in short, means life science, essentially, in Sanskrit. It's an ancient science, dates as far back as Chinese medicine, if not longer. Yoga is a sister science. They're all from the Vedas. So basically it's a look at mind, body, spirit as a whole, and each person is very unique in their own construct. So, that's something I dove into, learning herbalism and native herbalism, which isn't too far off of Ayurveda. Each unique person has their own way they're going to react or act upon, whatever they're, in touch with. So one of the things was herbs. Like, why would echinacea work for this person as the same, sinus infection that I might have? Right. And that was always a question, and that just answered it all. Wow. And it was really incredible, and that just snowballed for years and years and years, and it took me on a hell of a journey. So, that's the short end of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was the goal? Well, once you started, you landed in Bristol. The atmosphere is cool as hell. I just like the vibe. You feel energized as soon as you walk in.
Thank you. It's part of the goal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, how did you accomplish this? I mean, are you a designer as well? I mean, how did you get, because sometimes like having the knowledge of certain things is one thing, but then it's like putting it all together, piecing it together is a little harder.
Part of it it started out, my old guitarist, we had a band, Hollow Point, back in the day, and we ran a lot of shows at the old Street Road Bar and Grill, and we took on where we saw things failing as a band with shows where there was so much talent, especially in that time, and not enough bands that were given a proper spotlight or a stage to play on. So he and I took on that whole thing. Band broke up years and years later. I'm all over, and then I wound up back here, got in touch with him as soon as I knew I was at least going to, get the ball rolling on a settlement for this building. He came in with the design, and it looked completely different than what it looks now.
Yeah.
And the thing that changed was the minute I found the brick and where my office is now. Because we came in, even this area alone had about 6 rooms, and there was a hallway, there was 2 slit windows, there was no natural light. Wow. The ceilings were very low. It hadn't been touched in 40-plus years. This actually used to be an optometrist office. And it's funny, since then, how many friends I know who used to come in here as a kid. So it's even
Wait a second. I used to come here.
Yeah, there you go.
Holy smokes, that's so crazy. I just thought of that.
What was it, Dr. Berg or something?
Yeah.
Dr. Berg, yeah. So this is it.
That's right.
I tested it.
See? There you go.
That's where I picked out, right back here, probably around this area, there was a room where we used to pick out our glasses.
Yep.
Right there in 2nd grade, I made the mistake by picking out Mickey Mouse glasses because I thought on the lens Mickey Mouse came with it. It was just a sticker.
We found one.
I was so mad.
We found one old pair of glasses in the walls. We found a lot of cool stuff in the walls, but right on the other side of this bar is where that room started, where you went in to select your glasses. Wow. I have a lot of the old photos. We're trying to put out a thing out here finally that shows the before and after and during, but once we found the brick, it changed everything, and then our motto, it was me and my buddy Malcolm doing all the work in here. Brought my brother in, my buddy Vince, my buddy Chuck, to help out. And it was mainly me and Malcolm would sit down every day, and our motto became change of plans. Because I'd find something. He's like, all right, what's Joe want to get done today? And he had he's got a hell of a vision too. So he's been a carpenter his entire life. So at that point, he was already looking at 26 years under his belt as a carpenter.
Wow.
So we put that together along with my rediscovery of being able to do woodwork, and in fact all the wood in here is either Bristol wood or at the least PA wood.
Wow.
In fact, all these round cutouts are all from along the river.
Yo, that was so time
that was Malcolm's
consuming.
idea. Yeah,
that is
he did that. I wanted nothing
That's
to do with it, but I wound up chopping up. I think we spent more hours chopping the wood than anything else, but that was his baby.
Cool
yeah, and we've had people offer us money to do it, and we just told them you can't afford us. Yeah, so it's way too much. I think it's like one of the only things that got us really pissed off in here at times because it was so tedious and annoying. But
so those there's chairs over there made out of like tree trunks.
Yeah,
that's also from that's.
I wish I made them. I refinished them. That's probably the only thing in here we didn't do.
Yeah.
But that was from the old Kildares in Manayunk.
Oh, wow.
Funny enough, I wound up meeting some people who now have a connection with that current spot where that used to be. But, I got somebody sent me a message saying, hey, look at this listing, and I called them right away. I was like, do not talk to anybody. I will be there in an hour. Do not get rid of them.
Wow.
And they were super cool, and everyone there, man, was right off the boat of Ireland. And they were cracking me the hell up the whole time.
That's awesome.
And it was neat because the day we finally brought them up here was the day we put in the new windows in the door.
Yeah.
And I actually got a message that same day from the woman who sold them to me, who wanted me to eventually send her a picture because they meant a lot to her, pass around to her family. I was like, you're not going to believe this. We just brought them upstairs, and she just sent me the whole, crying emoji aspect.
Wow.
I was like, cool, man, so I gave it a real home. But
That's awesome.
So and it just went on, and luckily the borough was really cool with us. We were really cool with the borough. You know, that's the one thing about being down here in the historic district, the town squares. There's a lot more rules, which at the time kind of pissed me off, but now I'm actually on one of the boards for it. Yeah. So it's important. So I'm glad, you know, they were cool enough with us, and you know, we stuck to what they wanted, and here we go. You got one of the most unique spots you're going to see pretty much anywhere. Yeah. And we definitely take pride in that. This has been a really cool project, and you know, sometimes I got to really turn the lights off sitting here alone and really remind myself, like, what the hell we did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know?
That is awesome. So from time of purchase of the building to opening doors business-wise, even if it didn't necessarily offer all this, how long did that take?
I bought it July 2016. We actually signed an agreement with the previous owner for us to start work in the brew room. And then it took, I think we opened officially August 2017. Okay. So, and that was just because of one setback, finding out that because of new construction, we needed everything updated with the fire alarm, so we had to have all hardwired monitored system. Wow. And unfortunately, the company took about 3 to 4 months to even get out here, which was very annoying to me, because I was really going for May, which was like my father's birthday. I would have loved to have done that, but just take it as it is.
Yeah. All right, so what was your biggest challenge starting the business, outside of, you know, getting over the humps of actually getting started, but once you got started, what was immediate to you? Because you know how to make, you know, the herbs and teas and all that good stuff, but the actual business aspect of it. Yeah,
I mean, luckily we got some people who are really helpful down here.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I first came back to town, the first person I talked to was Ron McGuckin and Bill Pezza. And me and Ron were supposed to meet for about 20 minutes, and that turned into a 4-hour conversation. We just really hit it off.
Yeah.
Still an awesome guy. I love him to death. So that was a big help right away. They're always ready to reach out to new businesses that want to come down here and help any way they can. And I've now hopped on that boat too with anyone who wants to come down here. I don't think there was really any big challenges, although I was wrapped in bandages because I had a brew bomb go off on me. So it's basically the pumpkin chai that we make. It blew up once in the back room because we forgot it. We were moving wood outside. We heard a big bang, and I thought one of the neighbors hit the garage. And my buddy's like, dude, that was from inside. And we go in, and it's all over the place. And there's still glass in the ceiling to remind me to not forget. But then, funny enough, you know, I'm moving. You know, I used to brew in 1-gallon glass jugs, and this one just got super active, and the minute I put it down, I heard a crack, and it just blew up at my feet. 3 of them blew up at my feet, and it was immediate. Like, I broke my hand years ago living in Cali. Something else at like 8,000 pounds of pressure blew up on my hand, almost lost my hand. Oh my gosh. So immediately it was like a little bit of a PTSD of ears ringing, and I'm like, all right, everything's here. Where's the blood coming from? And I had blood all over my legs. I still have scars on my legs from it, and that was a hilarious scenario. Made it to the hospital, luckily, and they were like, what the hell happened? And so that was interesting. But so the day we opened, I still had bandages, still bleeding, you know, just made it happen, man. It's just like we worked too hard to let it sit anymore. In fact, you know, with the facade grants we had gotten at that time, you know, if you start any work on your building without, you know, the approval first, you get no money. And for me, it was just like I couldn't wait anymore, which is a shame because it was a major loss that I was looking forward to. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars that I had put into at least the facade, and, you know, hoping to get that. But, you know, I think that was the only thing that really kind of, you know, frustrated me a bit. But kudos to those who were working on that grant, you know. But, yeah, it was just great. I mean, we were packed right away, man. And the word got out, and, like, you know, that whole table and chair set, once we put the windows in and brought that in, we literally waited till the day we opened to clean the windows because there's so many face and handprints on it.
Wow.
And still to this day, people come in just to look at them, sit down. You know, they might have a cup of tea, but at least, you know, that's free marketing for me right there. They come in, check it out, and they'll talk about it. So
can you explain to us your business hours, how many team members you have? Is it just you? How's that work?
So it's just me in the back at the moment, although I just brought somebody on finally that can help me out. You know, he literally quit his full-time job to come here.
Wow.
So he'll be working with me and hopefully Naked Brewing Company, which we're opening up their second location right underneath where we're sitting right now.
Wow.
That's coming very soon. We're just waiting on the permits and final inspections. But we have a few people to help out in here. That's been a big one because when we started, it was me and one other person in the front here. And then I realized I can't be up here and need to brew in the back because I'm in here till 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, and I'm just like having zero life. So that changed a little bit to where now I have people that can cover the front, and then I'm constantly in the back. If I'm not in the back, I'm delivering kegs or doing something else for the borough, or something else business-wise. But I'm constantly trying to spread the business a bit more. We're in a lot of different farmers markets, events every single weekend, and we're starting to make our way into New Hope now to the Ferry Building, the Ferry Market Building,
That's nice.
and which has just been a goal of mine for a while since they opened. And just the good things are rolling, man. We're getting out there. People are liking what we do, and it's crazy right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, to get a little bit more specific,
Mm-hmm.
let's explain to the folks listening exactly some of the products you sell.
Yeah. So for those who don't know kombucha is a raw fermented tea, although the raw thing, I actually want to kick that out because you start with a tea. You make basically a sweet tea. We use very high quality teas in what we use. And that naturally with the fermentation, using the cultures from a previous batch, you get naturally occurring probiotics, B vitamins. There's a lot of health claims. We can't make any health claims as much as I'd like to. We can get in some trouble for that. But the claims that are out there, and most people who put it out there as what it is you have your natural probiotics, so it's pretty good for gut health, for digestion and stuff. We have other athletes that come in here, guys from Keystone, guys from Ring of Honor. We almost got an account with the 76ers I was really trying for, but we'll see what happens down the road. But yeah, a lot of athletes are using it, from their aspect. It helps with muscle recovery. Their coaches, their wellness coaches are definitely a part of that, pushing that. In fact, Seattle Seahawks have their own kombucha brewery.
Wow.
76ers now have somebody else helping them out with their kombucha, and the sports teams are really hopping in on it. So that's the main aspect of that. Is a cold fermented beverage. It's non-alcoholic, although it goes great with any cocktails. In fact, we had it at Eatery where we did a Camosa, which was Prosecco and the kombucha. We did a Shandy, which was a mix of the kombucha and any beer they wanted to choose. I think we selected a distinct one that went well with the flavor, but a lot of different cocktails, a lot of different aspects you can use. And so that's our main front of what we do. Okay. And then the rest, we have the loose herbs, spices, and teas. So, this is something I've seen all over the world and mostly on the West Coast. Unfortunately, you don't see this down here anymore. So I want to bring some of that aspect back where, my motto is anything from a pinch to a pound, whatever you need. If we don't have it, we'll get it.
Yeah.
And we sell a lot of local wellness goods, stuff from Christine's Garden of Beauty, Meowchemy, Big Spoon, Little Spoon Soap Company actually makes a kombucha soap with our kombucha. So we're always looking for more local wellness goods and people who are really, passionate about what they do, because those are certainly the companies that'll stick to it and succeed and give you a premium quality goods in general. So, yeah. And then along with the events, that helps us stay pretty busy and relevant. Comedy shows have really been taking off. The live shows and the open mics have really been impressive. A lot of younger kids that are in here, really give you hope in the future of music. So it's pretty cool.
I like that.
Very cool.
All right. Before we switch over to more of the products, let's take a step back, actually, because now I'm staring at and really looking at the company's logo. Can you explain the name? Where'd you get it from? And a little bit of the logo.
Yeah, so that's a really cool story. The design was finished by Jessica Hales. So she was the first person I was told to talk to, and she was an immense help. She spent hours, I think probably about 2 days in here doing the wall logo.
Wow.
She helped me out big time. The original idea was having a snake Ouroboros. That was the first thing I had, and that was a bit of a story. I did some Medicine Buddha retreat of sorts when I lived in Cali, and the night before I had what came out to be a vision. Let's see, I was with my friend Monica and Heidi, and I told them about it the night before. We're getting ready to do this weekend class in Benicia, California.
Yeah.
And I had this thing where it's I was covered in Welsh and Dutch tattoos, and that's part of my heritage.
Yeah.
But it's not something that's popped in my head in a long time. And there was this older man who came up, kind of primitive garb, and pointed out to my chest, and there was a white snake eating a black snake, and I never forgot that.
Yeah.
And so the next day we had a little potluck after the first half of the class, and our teacher's big guy Dan, and he goes, I had a dream about you last night. You're covered in tattoos. And I look at both of my friends who thought I was crazy.
I just got the chills.
Yeah, that's telling me. So my friend's jaws just dropped. I was like, I told you I wasn't crazy, So, yeah. So he's like, we'll talk about it a little more later. And we wound up talking a bit after class. He definitely wasn't telling me, he wasn't going to tell me everything that, came about with that. But for him, he was, asking the right questions. Did you see the black snake eating more of the white snake or vice versa? What else did you see? It was more of the white snaking and the black snake. And for him, at the time, I think I had shaved my head finally. I had like a mohawk back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I still had some of my piercings, and which was always interesting with the Ayurveda teachers. But yeah, it was pretty cool. But so long story short with that, I was just like, he's like, you were here before and you went down a dark path doing the same like healing of sorts. He's like, you're here again to do it right. You know? So there's much more we talked about. And I wound up getting really deep in with Medicine Buddha. It's still something I practice now and then, different healing techniques, self-healing techniques, and just meditation in general. So that was always the aspect I wanted. And then Noble Earth, I think I wanted Earth in the name somehow, although I felt like it was a little repetitive. But there was nothing out here who had that name. I was more thinking about the West Coast. And then somebody I was with, we were out at dinner, and we were at Spring and Vine in New Hope. That's right. And I was with Ricky, and she's like, what do you think about Noble? And I'm like, well, how do you want to spell it? Like Nobel, Noble? And I'm like, Noble. I was like, it seems kind of bougie or snobby, And as I looked at the different definitions and kind of like started doing the sentences in my head and what it is I do, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very honest and transparent about what I do. My thing is always there's no BS. Like nothing we have in here is BS. Nothing's some cheap quality crap. We carry the best of what we can get. As far as a small business standpoint.
Sure.
So yeah, the Noble stuck. I'm like, Noble Earth. And we literally asked one of the waitresses, who was super cool, and definitely no problem telling us like it is. And she was like, dude, that's awesome. I was like, all right, there it is. So Spring and Vine is where it happened.
Wow. That's awesome.
With that. And then Jess came up with the moon phase idea and the sun idea. And even for me, looking at it as we go on in the years, there's a lot of little hidden aspects in there for me. So that's even more meaning. So looking at that symbol, it's a bit of a reminder, just of, I'm sure there's many people out there with addiction issues and past things they'd rather forget. For me, went through a tough time in my early 20s, and that's a bit of a reminder, like how far I've come and where I'm at now. Nice. So, yeah. So props to Jess on an incredible job. She was super patient with me. Yeah.
It's a big thing, right? I mean, it's like, especially like you say, it's like your life's work. It's coming to fruition. Now you got to put a name on it, right? It's like, oh no, it's not easy.
I think the hardest part of all that was the damn font, man. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
She was listening to absolutely everything I said, and I'm like, you know what, dude? I was like, chop this around, throw this around.
Yeah.
Like, she was really cool, and we had some really cool conversations, getting a feel, her artistic feel of it. And she just completely nailed it, man.
Yeah.
I was so happy when she finished it. I'm like, dude, you're amazing. So she's done a few other logos for other businesses down here too.
I like it.
Yeah, awesome job.
All right, so let's go back to the products. What's the difference? You got hot teas, you got cold. You want to explain a little bit about that for those of us who do not know what's the benefits?
So kombucha is a naturally cold fermented beverage, so you have that aspect. We do have a list of cold teas, that we've had on tap. As an offering for quite a while. Like I was telling you guys before we went on, that menu has not changed since we started. Those were some of my personal favorites I'd make for myself, and evidently other people like them. So we kept them on. We are currently working on more of a menu, especially entering the fall season, where we're going to do like some cool chai stuff, matcha chais. I really want to get back into the idea of the premium teas, the exotic teas from around the world, getting some of the aged pu'er teas and stuff. Do like a gung fu tea ceremony on certain nights where people can get like the legit experience of a tea. So that's one of my favorite things to do. So that's going to be neat. And then we offer, regular hot teas. You buy from, we carry Numi tea. We also carry a lot of loose leaf teas and different blends that you can order to have in a French press here. Just enjoy it throughout the day, however long you want to stay. So that's basically what we do. We keep it somewhat simple, but the menu is constantly changing for the kombucha. We have a lot of favorites. I think at this point I've made almost 4 dozen different varieties since we started, and all of them have been a hit. So it's tough to keep, each one on that people like, but especially this time of year, the pawpaws are in season, so I'm going crazy with that right now. And of course the chai, and everyone loves the rusty gourd and all that, so people have been excited about that one.
All right, so on your board it says ask about our custom pours. So I'm going to ask you about your custom pours. What's that?
Yeah, so that's we do different. We carry high quality matcha, organic matcha. Everything we carry is organic. So we can make different blends of a hot or cold matcha with different. We're all vegan in here, so it's we do almond, oat, coconut milk. Sometimes we bring in some fancy little seasonal milks if we can get them. If I have enough time, usually I'll make our own, and then we'll have that as a special. So that's the aspect of the matcha. Then we have the tea wall, and basically you can choose any tea you want over there, mix or match, and we'll do a French press of either size that you'd like. And we also do a golden latte, and we actually carry full spectrum CBD oil as well, so we can add that to any beverage that you like besides the kombucha. Usually I do have a CBD blend. We actually started sourcing locally in Upper Bucks. So now I get the fresh flowers, and I dry that, and I make a tea of that, and I add that to the kombucha for our cannabiscus anxiety. And yeah,
whoa!
and
they went
besides that, we
super
have,
creative on that name.
So, and even besides that, we have 2 CBD varieties on tap in the Chamonix Creek Brewing Company. They were our first big customer, So hats off to Jeremy and Tyler and all them over there. So we've had nonstop taps over there for since November. So I think last October I set my goals like this next year I'm going to be in every brewery and every health store possible, and within a month I got one of the biggest breweries in the tri-state hit me up. So we've had a great relationship with them, and we're going to do more work with Naked Brewing Company, Broken Goblet, a bunch of other ones we're lining up and hoping to partner with.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
nice. All right, so we know there's a ton of fan favorites, right? What is your favorite, if you can put?
Man.
We know you have a favorite cup.
Yeah.
So
it's all in the mood. Sometimes I have the grenade cup when I'm pissed off for the day or something.
I like it,
but it works. I'd say what's on the board right now. I love the Savage Paw because I love pawpaws.
Okay.
The Dirty Paw is pretty damn good too.
So what's a paw?
So a pawpaw is our native fruit. It's one of our only native fruits. Grows up and down the East Coast, as far down as South Carolina. Grows in Zone 7 as well. So we have a lot of different varieties up here, and I actually didn't know we had more than one until I was out at Horn Farm for their Pawpaw Festival last week.
Oh,
and
wow.
we sold out within the first 2 hours each day.
Wow.
So I was pretty blown away by that. So it looks like a mango on the outside, and it's got a custardy inside. You basically slice it down the middle. It's got 6 big seeds, almost look like kidney beans. And it's a tasty, tasty fruit. A lot of people eat it when they're just ripe. I think as they get very, very ripe, they're their tastiest. A lot of people kind of compare it to a banana. I think that's selling it short. But everyone's got their own little flavor profile they get from it. And I didn't even know there's like 5 varieties. There's Shenandoah, Allegheny, Susquehanna. Nickname for it's the Susquehanna banana, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Catchy, you know? Yeah, so that's one of my favorites. So I'm always looking forward to this time of year, and I just bought 10 pounds of them.
Whoa.
So I'll be making a lot of different varieties. We're going to do a jalapeno pawpaw and messing around with some other stuff now too. Yeah.
So speaking of pawpaw, this is something that's I'm assuming like currently going on in the industry. How do you stay in the loop with everything?
I just do what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm going to see what other people are doing. Sometimes I pull a little Inspirato if I see something really crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many awesome kombucha companies out there. I think they're all great. But one of the ones I was really inspired by, even after I was already making it, I was out at the Veg Fest in Portland a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2014, 13, something like that. And Soma Kombucha out of Portland, Oregon is one of the best damn companies I've ever seen in my life. And, I always gravitate towards businesses that have a really awesome, organic, so to speak, backstory. The guy was a yoga teacher, wanted people to stay after class, so he decided to start making teas and kombucha. Next thing you know, people are offering money for his kombucha.
Wow.
Now he's got one of the biggest kombucha companies on the West Coast. Wow. And he keeps it local. He's a really cool guy. They had amazing ideas, like a smoked sweet potato and what else did he do? There's like some crazy
smoked
ones.
Sweet potato sounds really good.
Yeah. Originally, our Rusty Gore was a smoked pumpkin.
Yeah. Okay,
and now we're just trying to get one of the local kitchens. Like I want to have E-Tree do a glazed pumpkin in the wood fire, and then we can use that. In the kombucha. So that's something I got to talk to Greg about over there. But so that was a big inspiration. I mean, for me, it's always like what I like, and then what I like isn't always what everyone's going to like, of course, but hasn't really happened yet. So
how do you get when you're brewing this? I know you made up some jacked up batches in the beginning. How do you like refine to the point where it's getting better, and to the point where now you're obviously mastered it? Yeah,
I mean, at the time it was a little more of a rush, and I hit a big bump when we started because I did what basically the health board and the Department of Agriculture would like you to do, although you don't have to, is instead of using the cultures that I grew in my home, I went and bought a commercial batch, an original brew, and I bought cases and cases, and I wound up wasting, I think, like 60 gallons because something was wrong with theirs where, although I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but they they claim that everything's organic, yet I found out there's a man-made organism that they put in it to prevent the scobies from growing, which SCOBY is an acronym for a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. Naturally ferments, happens in a lot of different ferments. So I was really pissed off with that. And that set us back like a month. And so it was just another hurdle, just like with anything in business, man. You just got to take it, run with it, do whatever you can. So I wound up hitting up Brooklyn Kombucha, or Kombucha Brooklyn, and ordered up. I was like, hey, I'm stuck. You guys make amazing stuff. Like, can you send me some culture, some scobies? And they helped get me back on track with that. So that was a bit of a stump there. But
yeah, and then like as you said, adding to the different flavors. It's just,
so now that I was able to have more time, it was just like, all right, I can refine my recipes, because before I do it like cooking. I'm like, that looks about right. This seems good. I know this is going to taste like that. I always love that. There's an art to it.
Sure.
But people obviously want consistency, and I don't blame them, of course. So that was something I had to refine a little bit. So I started, writing down on my recipe book, or like I would have someone in there behind me writing down like what I'm doing. Like, all right, that looks like a cup. That looks, So and it's cool, but it's interesting with ferments, and I talked to some other breweries about this, as far as like beer breweries, and it's like certain times of the season, man, I can keep that room a steady 80 degrees and keep the correct moisture. Man, the organisms know when the weather changes. They feel the energy of what's going on. So like I think it was like this time of year, it'll be a little bit slower with the turnaround for the ferments, where it usually takes 7 days, it might take 10 or 11 days for first ferment. So now that we're in 2 years, almost 3 years of making it in this facility, I kind of get the gist on what's coming up, and I got to remind myself, But it was pretty cool. So, and I just have ideas that pop in my head. If I'm out, like I said, we're at a lot of farmers markets, so I'll see what they're growing. I'll talk to the farmers, like what's coming up, and we can plan accordingly to that. Like we did a beet jalapeno that we call Bristol beet, and we source our beets from not only Blooming Glen Farm, but Love Grows CSA and Gravity Hills Farm and Rolling Hills Farm. So we like getting varieties on the beet aspect, and then the jalapenos, who's ever growing them, we'll use them. And that was a pretty cool one. So it's just like weird ideas, and if people give great feedback, I'll keep it on. Yeah.
So when you have events here, can you explain a little bit of the setup? Is it more obviously the point is there's many aspects to that, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously local talent, you're bringing them in, giving them a shot, as well as you have all your products here that you're also able to sell. What's the goal for that?
Well, the whole thing, and it was a few times I got emotional about it, because I remember being a kid, we used to have Echo Studios in Tullytown, and unfortunately some things got ruined, not so much to do with Echo, but local government, I'll say. I'm not really a fan of their old government, so so that was unfortunate. And then we used to have a lot of live shows even around here. I forget which local church, like 2 blocks away. There used to be shows down in the basement. I played a bunch of them. Wow. And then Sub Hoods and all the guys that still live around here. So that was always something that led into the shows that we ran. It was always a big thing. So with building this, I'm like, we got to do live shows here again, and I want to provide a space now, because there's nothing else for, people under 21 or under 18. And so that was kind of the first thought, but also providing just in general a safe space for anybody, where space you can come in and hang out. I don't deal with anybody starting any trouble. We haven't had that issue. I do also want to, make sure that even the older generation knows this is a spot for them as well. Mm-hmm. And that's something I heard recently. Someone was like, everyone feels it's for the young kids, and it's not. I mean, we're bringing in old traditions here. Yeah. Everything that's here is old tradition. Right. It's just like it's been gone for a while, at least in this area. So, like we have a Halloween show we're trying to do November 2nd. I want to bring in some rockabilly stuff, some surf-type music, and, make it like an old retro Halloween kind of vibe. And that's just like another thing we want to offer to everyone. Like, hey, anybody can come to this thing. But and then bringing in the young talent and then seeing them with open mic, which I was definitely afraid of at first, because I've never had a good open mic experience. It's so annoying, and it's just like, and I'm surprised, because some people I know who have been in the music aspect, and guys who have recorded my stuff, who now own breweries and stuff, they started doing some open mics, and I knew they were reluctant too, but luckily that they've apparently had great success. And we're at a point again where there's a lot of people of all generations, all age groups now that are just like really doing some cool stuff, man. Yeah. So I was shocked. Like we've every night that we've had, we're doing it for a couple months now. We do it every second to fourth Friday. And I'm blown away, man, by some of the talent. So it gives me a little boost in that energy and just like complimenting why I built this place.
Yeah.
So it's happening exactly what I had in mind, to an extent. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself, or where would you like for Noble Earth to be in 5 years? Are you looking to open up multiple locations? I know you're doing business with other, or doing business with other businesses.
Yeah.
Expansion wise, where are you at with that?
Yeah, so we always get the question, do we ship our kombucha? And I don't. And that's one of the reasons our kombucha is the one that most people choose, or like any other local kombuchas, is because it's not sitting here for a couple of weeks before it then goes on a truck, which is shipped who knows where, and then sitting on the shelf for who knows how long.
Sure.
So, you see a lot of big companies now throwing their brand on kombucha, and most of them suck. And it's either they're pushing it too quick, or there's a lot of different things that I don't agree with. And for me, it's just keeping stuff traditional, old school. I'm very much into wild food foraging and wild ferments, and that's one of the many things that got me into this. But the big goal is, if we're going to get a push to be in a certain area, I'd like to just open up a spot like this in another area as best we can. So like, I'm even eyeing up Westchester right now, at least to get our stuff up there. We're in Reading now too. We're at Good Life Organics. We got 4 taps on there, and that's going to grow for us, I hope. Yeah. We have a really good relationship with them. So it's like, but that drive kind of kills me now and then. So, if we start getting places out of state, different areas, that's definitely a goal. And at least the next 5 years is to have another spot and, be able to have people that can run it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So how do you market your business, right? So a lot of it is, a lot of times when we run into small businesses, they're very passionate about what they do, the product or service that they have. But a lot of the struggle becomes like, we're not marketing experts. We don't know, specifically how to, tap into something. A lot of it will happen organically, but sometimes you need that. That social media.
You got to be in it now.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when I started, I know people who are in the healing world that are getting that now, although they started their company organically and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rainbows of Healing on that one. Yeah. My big brother and sister, essentially, they're the ones that got me into all, healing stuff when I was doing a big shift in my life in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So, but they were one of them, and, they're on board with that now. They realize social media is where it's at, and there's too many people in the healing world, yoga world, not so much the yoga world. The yoga world's just saturated anymore, but like you mentioned, there's a lot of businesses that are passionate about what they do, but they have zero idea and respects to what they're doing. It's just a lot to take on, and everyone's got an opinion on it. But if you're paying attention to certain trends, I mean, you look at someone like Gary Vee, who I take a lot of what he says into consideration. That guy hasn't been wrong on a lot of stuff I tried out either. Right. And I love the way that guy is. I'm like, this guy's like me, kind of unfiltered and going to tell you like it is. But he's nailing it on the head. And I think, he's on the whole TikTok, LinkedIn thing now. And I'm like, it's amazing. And I'm trying to get on that now. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, I have the email issue going on. So that's stifled everything at the moment. Sure. But I just started buying more ads on Facebook for every events, and the comedy shows we saw are selling out all the time now, because rather than it just be, we're going to share, and then, whoever's performing here may wait till the week of, and now we're also getting involved with like Beer Fest Tickets, who has their own marketing of sorts. So it's like they take a small percentage and are really nice guys. And so that helps out. And it's really just like sharing, man, knowing what's key. Like I upped my Twitter, presence on there now. I'm starting to do more videos. I wasn't big on videos before because, as with most people, you hate your own voice.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
You're always scrutinizing yourself. But at that point, I'm like, screw it, man. Just do it. Put it out there. At least people know. And there's some different ideas. But, yeah, the marketing is the number one thing with a lot of people. And I see that even with a lot of businesses here and other places right now. It's like, man, you got to get on it.
Yeah.
Whatever way you can. I mean, marketing's marketing, but it's, Instagram, paying that extra couple bucks for an ad is going to go a long way. You're just investing in yourself. And it's just like anything here, man. Every dollar I make goes right back into this place, goes right back. I'm not taking vacations. Like, I'm not living a lavish life. I'm making everyday work. So it's like you got to struggle, man. And you're going to. And if you actually give a damn about what you're doing, you're going to stick with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about a little bit about personal growth. In your 20s, you had basically a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
What do you do to grow yourself mentally? Do you read a lot? Do you watch videos? How do you grow? I see you have a little library here of books.
Yeah.
What do you do?
It's probably more videos now than anything because now I can brew and listen to them.
Yeah, right on.
But I do miss reading as much as I used to. I try to, like, once a week, maybe read a couple pages a week on something. Or if I really start digging into it, I'll add it a lot more. There's, like, no going out, and having a good time for the most part. So it's like that's the big inspiration. Watching other businesses too. We have some really good businesses down here and other spots like Jim at Organics. He was the first guy that offered any help I needed. He's a retail, organic natural food marketplace. He was trying to be my first account for the longest time.
Yeah.
And he wanted bottles, and we're like, dude, the kegs is where it's at. And then bam, that happened finally. But he's always that family's awesome. That shop is something I definitely look up to and how they run things. But and then breweries. I got friends who started as just like a brew club, and now they're running a massive brewery. So it's like paying attention to what they're doing, and also kind of my dad was a big inspiration because I was around for a lot of stuff he was involved in, and just seeing how he held stuff as a leader himself, and how he handled certain situations. Definitely is still on my shoulder every time I'm thinking about doing stuff, or
definitely
how to act or react to something.
Sure. All right, so speaking of which, how do you manage work life? Or is it all one?
What's life? What's that? What's life? I love what I do, so it's like, and this is one of the reasons we built the place the way we did, is because, like, if I'm going to be here all the time, I want it to be like I'm in my living room where I want to be. This is my sanctuary.
For sure.
But it's tough, man. I'm still learning. This is our third cold season. So it's tough. It's tough on any relationships. It's tough on family life. I just saw my brother finally the other day for the first time in like a month, and he lives 10 minutes up the road.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's tough, and he's got kids and his own family. So, and my cousins, I got cousins who own businesses too. So it's like, you kind of see what they're doing, and anytime I can, talk to them, we definitely, big inspiration. But it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's just, forcing yourself to take time. And now that I'm getting more help, I can like stand back, but then you kind of feel lost because you're so much into what you're doing. You're like, no, I got to brew this. I got to get ready for this. I got to do this marketing. And for me, any second I'm not marketing is marketing lost.
Right.
But yeah, it's really forceful, and patience. This place has definitely finally taught me a lot of patience. So it's pretty cool, but yeah, it's challenging. Luckily there's a lot of businesses where they have a partner or they have, family and all that. For me, it's fortunate for me in what I do. I don't have kids, and I'm not married or anything. So there's that up or down with that. But, you just do what you can do, and it's a trial and error, man. Every day's a test.
Yeah.
Just got to keep learning from it and try to pass the next day.
What is a lot when we talk to a lot of people here on the podcast, I know my motto is every single day be the best version of myself. What's your motivation?
Man, a lot. Just the fact that people love this, that it's insane that I'm able to have a kombucha spot here in Bristol, of all places. I thought was like, if I can do it here, I can do it anywhere.
Sure.
Which, with much respect to Bristol, can be a tough town, and everyone's got their opinions and they stick to them.
Yeah.
But I just love to brew, man. I like making stuff. I miss cooking. I don't cook as much as I used to. I used to cook like a wild man, but now this is like my version of that. So I put everything I am into it, and it means a lot knowing that there's a quick turnaround means that people love it. And just meeting a lot of people. I'm not always in this shop. I get a lot of crap about it sometimes, but people don't realize the amount of work that goes into this.
Yeah.
So, but being at different events is really cool because, you get to educate some people. They're trying your product, and, usually everyone has their reserves about kombucha based on what they had from a store. And then that's one of the other things that made this place the way it is we change people's ideas and their palates. So, I think that in general, and just seeing how well small businesses are now, and there's such a spotlight on small businesses, it inspires the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got a lot of good people involved. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so last question before we wrap this up. What's your recommendation to anyone trying to jump into the health wellness business?
Don't. No, I'm kidding. No.
It's hysterical.
It's a totally different thing, man. I mean, what I do here is like this was originally going to be called Cornucopia. Was the original name I wanted, because we're just mixing everything in here. There's like a wealth of different offerings, but the wellness world's different because it's always changing. Some of us, even if we're practitioners, if we're licensed therapists, we still can't do as much as we'd like due to legal reasons. So that gets tough. There are ways now that now that you're seeing CBD getting more out there now, and people starting to realize like this is real.
Yeah.
As long as you're getting a pure substance, as with anything else, but. It's always changing. The CBD thing it's just took a hold so much, but I also tell people, like, listen, man, there's been other herbs around before CBD that can help too. So if you can't always afford it or find it or not willing to take a chance on it, that's another aspect. But there's always new stuff. There's always new trends. It drives me crazy because a lot of them are BS.
Yeah.
Like the chia seed explosion, that's an amazing seed to eat. It's absolutely amazing, but it's been around for thousands of years.
Right.
And we used to grow freaking plants with them, all that crap. So, that, and then like the acai, explosion. I'm just like, that again is marketing. It's brilliant marketing, but it's like, man, there's so many other things that you don't have to go and are much more sustainable. So it's staying ahead of like what people want. People want, what they want. They want it now. It's like Jim Morrison said, we want the world and we want it now.
Yeah.
But education's key. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to fail at it. You're going to fail at it. So you better know what you're talking about. My rule is just like with Socrates or anything else in the healing world is first do no harm. If I don't know a product, I'm not going to talk about it. If I haven't tried it, I'm not going to try to sell it to you. Everything in here I've tried. Every single thing.
Wow.
So, and I don't sell anything that I haven't tried or that I don't hold to the higher standards. We do third-party testing with all the CBD products we get, so if that it doesn't exist, we don't deal with you, or I don't deal with you. It's a tough one. But I think more now than ever, people are getting into the natural food stuff. I started in that world back when I lived in Bristol in 2009.
Yeah.
I started getting organic foods, started going to the local food stores like Giant when they just started their line.
Yeah.
And was like, we want this. Can you guys get this? And it's like the consumers are the key, man. We're seeing all this stuff in the mainstream market now that we never thought would happen. Look at medical marijuana and recreational marijuana now. People press for it and it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to understand like the power is with them. So there's something they want, it'll happen, and more people are understanding the importance of local, but also organically grown, sustainable practices, regenerative practices more than anything else. So I think that's the key in educating yourself in that, getting to know the businesses, and just believing in what you do.
Awesome, well said. And before we close out, any of your social media handles, websites, anything you want to plug real quick?
So we're on Facebook, Noble Earth Bristol. We're on Instagram as Noble Earth. We're on Twitter as Noble Earth USA. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I added yet. We will be starting on the TikTok and LinkedIn world very soon. And we'll be updating the website soon, which is long overdue. But, we're open every day except Monday. Tuesdays we're open 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. If we have shows going on, we'll definitely stay open later. So,
nice.
Yeah, I think that's
awesome.
about it.
212 Mill Street?
212 Mill Street in the heart of historic Bristol Borough.
Love it. We like to end our show with quotes. First one by Lao Tzu. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And the second one by Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Noble Earth, in this episode, we have special guest Joe Rakowski. We cover topics that range from small business ownership, health, wellness, herbs, teas, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Lao Tzu and Confucius. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.